Imagine you just finished elementary school but you didn't get a grade high enough to get into a good high school. You give this notice to your parents and they don't know well what to do. However, your dad, walking kind of drunk in the middle of the street, takes a letter that, what it seemed to be a hooded dad, dropped off by mistake. At home, he and your mom discover the letter is to get into an unknown high school that no one ever heard about. And without caring about not knowing what it was, they decide to send you there with that letter. Once you get there, you find out it's a demon's school where you're the only human, and if they realize that, you'll be killed. This is the story of Ayano, and everything begins with this character inside a bus with the letter in his hands, on the way to his new school. On the way, the driver starts scaring the protagonist, saying that school is the most terrifying school of all. His phone rings and it's his cousin congratulating him for getting into a high school, and that she looked out some information about that school because she cared a lot about him. But when she was about to tell him all the information she gathered about it, the bus got inside a tunnel, and the call connection was cut. On the other side of the tunnel, Ayano realizes he's in a completely different place, with an ambience different from everything he had seen before. The driver wishes him luck and, sending him out of it, closes the door to leave him alone. He tried to call his cousin again but the phone wouldn't get any signal. Without more options, he decides to walk into that unknown place to try to find his school. Walking inside the dark forest, he crashed with a cute girl of pink hair that was riding a bike and accidentally put his hand on her thigh. And, seeing this embarrassing situation, he tries to apologize, saying he didn't mean to do that. But his nose started bleeding, what implied the opposite. However, the girl takes a tissue and gets close to him to clean his nose, what makes him shy and blush. But suddenly she apologizes while she puts her mouth on his neck to bite him because it turns out she's a vampire. He gets scared, but realizing he's not feeling any pain on his neck, he calms down. She asks him if he's going to the same school as she and if he cares that she's a vampire. When he says it's okay, she gets really excited and throws herself at him to hug him and ask to be friends, introducing herself as Moka. Since she's a beautiful girl, he gets happy for being friends with her and thinks he's lucky to be going to that school. Now at school and on his classroom, the protagonist seems to be happier than ever, seeing his teacher is another beautiful woman and very nice with her students. But then she says out of nowhere that's a school only for demons, and that, because the world is under the humans' control, they demons are forced to coexist hidden from humans. She explains the school's rules, being one of them that they should not use their hybrid form, unless there was an emergency, so no student would know their other form and etc. But a student interrupts her, saying those rules are useless and that demons should be able to eat humans if they got there to end once for all those stupid rules, what make the protagonist be terribly scared. The teacher answers he could not do that because the school where they're at is protected by a barrier would sweep any human that got inside it. The protagonist got really scared hearing this and accidentally dropped a book, but he was saved of being asked any questions because a girl got into the classroom. It was Moka, the girl from before. And because she knew the protagonist, she goes to hug him, and that wouldn't be the end of it. She would be stuck to him around the school, making everyone jealous because he was with such a pretty girl. They go to the school's yard to buy something on a machine, and trying to get what they bought, they accidentally touch each other's hands. Embarrassed, she pushes him and, being so strong, he ends up pretty away. The next scene is of them drinking what they bought, and we see how he wonders if she actually is a vampire when they're interrupted by that student from before that scared the protagonist on the classroom. He takes the protagonist from his neck, and angry because he's with Moka, he drops him against the machine, almost killing him. Moka gets desperate and goes to help him, but the boy stops her, saying she shouldn't waste her time with a loser like that and should be with him instead. But of course she rejects him and goes with Ayano, making the demon even more furious. After that, she asks him if is everything okay with him, and he lies, saying it is, but he's actually very worried, thinking that being at that school will bring him serious problems on the future. Moka realizes how strained Ayano was after seeing a demon on action and tells him it even looks like is the first time he sees a demon. After she asks what kind of monster he is, but remembering the school's rules, she withdraws the question. He remembers she broke the rule already when she said she was a vampire and tells her she doesn't look like one. To this, she showed him a cross that was on her chest and says that, if the necklace was taken from her, she will turn into a scary vampire, and that the cross is like her protector. Seeing the tense atmosphere she brought talking about it, he tries to calm her, saying that, even if she turns into a scary vampire, she will still be the sweet girl he met. Happy to hear that, she hugs him and says that because she bite him, he kind of became her first love. And, getting even closer to him, she ends up letting out some bloodthirsty aura, scaring the protagonist, who pushes her and, with an excuse, he leaves her. Being so beautiful she couldn't be that monster he felt when she was close to him, He runs desperate and realizes everyone on the school are just like Moka and decides to take his bags and leave the school as fast as possible. But when he was about to leave, Moka goes to him and asks what happened because he acted so strange. And he says that is everything okay, but that he needs to study on a human school. She says that he can't do that because when she was on the elementary school on a human school, everyone bullied her. What made her hate humans? And that he couldn't go to that kind of school or he will suffer the same as she did, but he says he could be one of those humans she hates so much. He tells her all the truth, how he ended up there by mistake, and she walks away from him with a scared face. Then she says that he's probably just kidding because there's no way that as a human he made it through the school's barrier. What makes him kind of mad and says she can't like him because he's a human as any other, and accidentally he says he's not even sure he wants to be friends with monsters. After saying that he feels bad and runs inside the dark forest to take the bus, Moka goes after him, but the demon from before gets on her way and takes his hybrid form to attack her. She screams, and when the protagonist hears her, he comes back to save her, but the demon punches him and throws him to a bluff. He gets really hurt, but Moka goes to him and tells him her feelings, what comforts him a lot. So he says he feels the same and wants to be friends. Then her necklace accidentally drops off because of the demon attack and she turns into her vampire form, and when the other demon sees her, he gets amazed when he sees she's way stronger than him. She easily defeats him and goes to the protagonist that was almost passing out because of the punch he received. Even so, he grabs her and passes out. Once he wakes up, Moka was already on her controlled form and he sees the bus only pass once a month there. Then she cures his injuries, and because she saw his blood, she bites him on his neck again. Next morning, he wakes up on his room at the school and goes to the school bathroom to wash his face, and even being surrounded by students on monsters' forms, he doesn't care because, at this point, he's already used to it. After that, he went to the classroom thinking about what happened the day before and that, because the bus passed only once a month, he'll have to hide his identity for a month. Moka interrupts his thoughts, hugging him, and all the boys around them send him furious looks because they're jealous. Also, they think he's the one who defeat the other demon, so they're gonna keep an eye on him. Ayano hears him talking and wonders why they think all of that, but then he's pushed by Moka. They leave those boys behind, leaving him full of jealousy. And here we see there's a girl with blue hair that watched this entire scene. Walking to the school, Moka says to Ayano that whenever he feels lonely for being at that school, he could go to her, that she'll help him feel less lonely. Also, she says she didn't have breakfast that morning and decides to bite him to get some blood because she was feeling weak already. And to this, the protagonist runs away saying he is not her breakfast. Once he's away from her, he wonders if he's safe with her and if she could be a bloodthirsty vampire that could hurt him. But a girl screaming interrupts his thoughts. It was the blue hair girl from before. He goes help her and she says she's not feeling well, and with an evil smile she takes him to the nursery, and on the way there she tries to seduce him all the time, throwing herself at him and using her attributes for it. She introduces herself as Kirumo and asks him to be friends, and to make him agree, she hypnotizes him, making him hug her and being cute with her. And then Moka appears, who was looking for Ayano, and seeing she arrived, Kirumo hypnotized the protagonist to say he won't be with her anymore, all to make Moka jealous. This made Moka very sad and wonder what was going on with him. At the classroom where all of them were, we see Moka is jealous of Ayano and Kirumo and wonders what's her relationship with the protagonist. On the other hand, Ayano wonders why he was so rude with Moka and feels like he's doing things against his will, not having control under his own actions. Moka and Kirumo shared challenging looks during the entire class. During the break, Kirumo goes to talk to Moka, saying she's disturbing her plans of making every guy of the school her slave, revealing she's a succubus and that she's mad at Moka for making boys fall in love with her. So she explains that's why she stole Ayano from her, and just in time Ayano arrives. He wanted to talk with Moka about what happened earlier, but Kirumo stops him, hypnotizing him and forcing him to tell her things he didn't want. All these hurtful things she made Ayano say to Moka made her cry and run sad because what she heard. On another place, we see Kirumo is very happy because she managed to defeat Moka, stealing Ayano from him. But her happiness is interrupted by Ayano, who says he needs to say sorry for what he said to Moka. But she puts her chest on his face, saying she doesn't have to worry about Moka, trying to make him forget her as fast as possible. Outside the school, Moka is sad because now the only thing she hears is those terrible things, that she's only taking advantage of Ayano and everything. A voice coming out of his necklace says there's no reason to be so sad, and that this is only a spell that is controlling him. Also, he warns her that if he is kissed by Kirumo, his life will be hers forever. When she hears this, he goes to find Ayano immediately, who's being seduced by Kirumo, but when she tries to kiss him, he reacts on a way that scares her. He's acting against the spell. He hugs her strong so she cannot kiss him, and doing that she gets furious, turning into her real form to use a stronger spell against him. But Moka gets just in time to stop her and pushes her away of the room. Ayano thanks her for saving him, and Moka explains she's a succubus and she only wants to enslave men, so he should run away as quick as possible from there. But it wouldn't be so easy. Kirumo caught him on time and fly away with him, but Moka managed to go with them, making it harder for Kirumo to fly with both of them, so she finally decided to let them go inside the dark forest. Then she showed her hybrid form to try to kill them, but Moka could protect themselves after giving a love speech that sensitized. With her vampire form, Moka shows to Kirumo a little bit of her great power, who is amazed finding out she's against a vampire of S rank. Kirumo even cries, asking for mercy to Moka, who seemed to be about to kill her, but Ayano stops her, saying Kirumo is not a bad girl. After his speech, Moka says she won't tolerate other monsters drinking his blood and takes the necklace to go back to normal. At the next day, the three of them go to school together and we see they're kind of friends now. Kirumo says she chose the protagonist to be her fiancé and keep the succubus race, this because he protected her from the vampire Moka, making her fall in love with him. On the way to the classroom, both of the girls fought over him, and the fight ends with Moka biting Ayano's neck. Now at school, they protect a girl that was being attacked by another boy of the school. She was receiving reprisals for being the smartest in her class. After, they go to a tea house with the girl, who introduces herself as Yukari. While they're talking, this girl jumps on Moka's lap, saying she always admired her and asks her on a date. Later, we see Moka is walking with Yukari that wouldn't take her hands out of her chest for nothing, and saying she is the most beautiful girl of school. But they're interrupted by Ayano, who comes looking for Moka's help. When Yukari sees him, she says that because he's not popular, he has no right of being with Moka because she is too much for him. And not only that, she uses her magic to take some stuff from a closet and throws them against him. When they see what she can do, they ask how she can do that, and here she confesses to be a witch, saying she'll use her magic to protect Moka from anyone. Ayano goes to the nursery for the damage received by Yukari, and there he meets Kirumo. When he says Yukari won't let him go near Moka, she gets mad and complains, and after she tries to seduce him to remind him they need to do descendants for her race. What she didn't know is Yukari was outside the nursery's door, and to mess around with the protagonist, she takes in Ayano's hair and puts it on a voodoo doll to control all of his movements. And by doing this, she ends up helping Kirumo on her purpose, making Ayano put his hands on Kirumo's chest. It was a good moment for Kirumo, that until Moka arrives and catch in the act everything that was going on there. And to make things worse, Ayano ends up taking off Kirumo's panties, making her blush a lot. Everything controlled by Yukari, of course. Not even Kirumo liked this action, so they were both about to go against Ayano, but then they found Yukari and realized she was doing everything. When he sees this, he calls her off, saying she can't do that again. The girls tells him to stay calm since she's only a little girl, but he wouldn't hear them. He was furious. Even more after the little girl play victim, saying she's bullied at school for being a witch and smart, only to distract him to punch him with a lot of stuff again. Then she leaves the room and thinks to herself that even though nobody likes her for truth for being smart and felt envy for her, she says she doesn't care not having friends at school. However, in the back, she does care. While she's running, she runs into the guy from before that was bullying her, and they make fun of her, saying because she is a witch and plays around with her magic, he should receive her lesson. And she will get her lesson. They turned into their demon form, ready to end with her life. But when they were about to do it, Moka arrives just in time and consoles her, saying she doesn't have to play the bad girl because of the bully she received. She tells her story and how she felt lonely in the past, so she understands her and she can count with her and her friends to help her. Watching this emotional scene, the monsters decide to attack, but Ayano arrived in time to save her and also gives an emotional speech to Yukari. Seeing this dramatic scene again, the monsters attack again, but Kirumo saves them. Ayano takes Moka's necklace, making her turn into her vampire form, and like this, she ends with these boys like it was nothing. And the scene ends with an emotional moment where Yukari is accepted as a friend in their group. Later, Yukari goes to her colleagues and asks for forgiveness, trying to have a nice relationship with them. She also goes to the class of her new friends and says their class is next to her, so she could spend a lot of time with them now, especially with the protagonist, because she ends up falling in love with them. There's been a month since the protagonist is at school, and like any other day, he's walking to school being shared by his three lovers. This day he's very reflexive, thinking whether he should stay or leave, but his thoughts are interrupted when the teacher asks him to read a paragraph of the book they're reading. After this, Moka and he goes to the terrace and she asks him if everything is okay because he seems to be flighty. He says everything is okay and she insists, saying he can count on her for everything. While they got closer and closer, when they were almost kissing, Kirumo arrives to separate them and, jealousy, she complains to Moka saying she's been drinking too much blood from Ayano lately. While they're fighting with jealous over the protagonist, Ayano leaves, but then 3 colleagues come to him mad at him because he, being a loser, is with the prettiest girl at school. Ayano don't really understand what they want, so they introduce themselves, members of the fan club of the 3 Ayano's friend. The protagonist finds this ridiculous, so he tries to leave but they wouldn't let him. They give him a minor lesson but the girls arrive and save him. Later at night that day, the protagonist is on his room taking care of the damage he received today and thinking about the school life he's having. He feels weak because he's a human around monsters and depends on the girls to protect him. This makes him think this school isn't for him. At the next day on the dinning, everything is gathered and the girls tell they've been followed the whole day by those fans of the club and that they're passing the limits. They need to be stopped, because they're really strong is no matter for them to take care of them. The problem will be to out Ayano in danger since he's a weak human and they could go against him again. Then, they all decide to be his bodyguard until the fans stop bullying him. However, trying to defend Ayano, Moka says that if he used his demon form he'll destroy them easily. Seeing this, the protagonist feels badly because yesterday he was already feeling guilty for being protected by them all the time, and this wasn't different. He gets up and decides to leave the table to think a little bit alone. But Moka goes to him and says he shouldn't feel bad about the situation, because even if he didn't have demonic power, he was an important person. When he says he feels useless because he depends on her all the time, she's very surprised. And before she could say anything, he drops her hand and runs away. Night came that day and we see the protagonist is on his room packing up everything, getting ready to go and leave the school. But Yukari sees him and goes to Moka saying Ayano might be leaving school, and indeed he was. He's at the bus stop waiting for the bus to leave, saying sorry to Moka mentally for leaving. And now he's surprised by the 3 fans of his friends that are they to end with the protagonist once for all. They turn into their demonic form and attack violently, leaving him with no air, but before something terrible could happen, the 3 girls arrive to save him. He now feels useless again for always being rescued by them, but Moka slaps his face to stop thinking those things. She says they're friends and because of that is normal for them to help each other. The others say he's very important to them and that he had helped them before as well, and he finally understands them and that he's not useless. When the 3 fans see this romantic scene, their envy for the protagonist makes them go against him again, but this time stronger than before. 2 of them turn into a unique monster and attack, but Ayano takes Moka's necklace off again and she quickly ends the matter. The protagonist feels sorry for being useless again since he couldn't do anything, and he's comforted by the vampire form of Moka, who convinces him of not leaving school. He then confesses he wasn't planning on leaving school, he only was there to wait for the driver to give him some letters for his parents, since there's no communication through phone on the school. And the chapter ends with everyone understanding Ayano, who thinks he will one day be strong enough to protect his lovers. Well, the chapter wasn't over yet. We have a message from the driver that with a creepy face says the protagonist will have many things to confront from now on. At the next day at the class, Ayano hears the announcement of the teacher saying that now there was a phone on school with signal that is connected with the human world. Ayano will now be able to speak with his family on the human world. She also says that from that day the bus will pass once a day instead of once a month, leaving him really happy. At the next day there are even more news. The teacher asks them all to be part of a school club where they'll do sports and other entertainments from the human world, with the goal to make monsters understand better human beings, to coexist with them better. Following the teacher's orientation, Moka and Ayano go there to look for a club, but they don't find any, so they're disappointed. Until Ayano sees the swimming club and how it's full of cute girls. We're introduced to a girl of long blue hair that wants to convince everyone to get on her club. And even if Moka didn't like her because it seemed like she wanted Ayano, they go there. Inside the pool, this girl gets very close to the protagonist, explaining the movements and everything, making Moka jealous, who couldn't get inside the pool because she can't swim. Seeing this, she can't take it anymore and screams at Ayano, complaining about it and with the girl. But this girl says some stuff and she ends up leaving shaken. We see she's not feeling well because she's been wet by the pool's water, what has a retardant effect on her. Meanwhile, the club is having a party for the guests, where the protagonist was on a side crestfallen because he fought with Moka. And when the girl of long blue hair sees this, she invites him to swim with her to forget all of the frustration. And he was forgetting being seduced by him, until she tried to eat him to get his vital energy, because it turns out she's a mermaid. But before she could do this, Moka arrives just in time and gets into the water to save him. But since she's weak on the water, after she got on it she started to swap and she couldn't use her powers. Kirumo also appears and grabs the girl so Ayano is free, who goes save Moka. He takes her necklace off, making her turn into her vampire form, what leaves the pool all red. All of the mermaids got together to attack Moka, but they couldn't do it because Kirumo and the protagonist helped her. Bad because everything went wrong. The mermaid gets even worse and plans to attack Moka, thinking she could defeat her because she's on the water. But as you can imagine, it wouldn't be like that and Moka quickly leaves her on the floor. Moka Vampire also takes advantage of the situation and slaps Ayano's face for being so careless. At the next day at morning, Ayano thinks about how careless he was with Moka and feeling bad about it. He also realizes she didn't go to school, so at the next day he goes to ask sorry for making her suffer getting into the water to save him. She forgives him and then they discuss whether they should get into the swimming club or not. But a girl with weird glasses interrupts them, saying they should get on the journalism club. They accept the invitation and Kirumo and Yukari come running saying they want to join it too. At the next day they're all on the club, so start the activities and they meet the president of the club, a handsome boy that appears with flowers for the girls. After introducing himself he explains the goal of the club, that is to distribute journals around the school and to report anything that happens on the school. To start the work he asks everyone if they found something suspicious at school to report, and Kirumo says there's something that's been happening. There's a pervert that watches the girls' rooms while they change, and now they'll find him to report it. The president agrees and everyone starts making plans to find him. While the girls put some posters to find someone that could know something about the pervert, Ayano catches the president trying to see the girls under their skirts. Then seeing he's taking advantage of the situation, he tries to call his attention to also make the girls see what he's doing. But the president blames the protagonist and they believe him, thinking he was the pervert there. But at the bathroom the vampire mouth inside her cross alerts her, saying that president has a suspicious energy and that she should have an eye on him. But being so naive, she ignores that voice and starts thinking the protagonist is actually the pervert they're looking for. This is because the president put him on different situations to make it look like he had bad intentions, all to separate him from Moka, because it turns out he's crazy for her and wants to destroy their relationship. But his plans doesn't work because the girls corner him and find out the real pervert of the rooms was him. He gets on his demoniac form to try to take Moka with him and run away, but he's defeated by the vampire Moka, and at the next day, he's revealed as the real pervert of the rooms at school. That same day a new student appears on the protagonist's class. She's called Shirayuki, and when she runs into the protagonist she tries to seduce him to stay with her instead of going to the commemoration party of the club he organized with the girls to commemorate they caught the pervert. Moka was the first to arrive on the party, and seeing he wasn't coming she gets worried and thinks about going to look for him. But then Shirayuki appears on the party and jumps to Moka and tries to scrag her. Moka tries to resist but she can't because she realizes this girl is actually an ice doll. Outside we see this girl won't let Ayano go because this doll is actually a crazy toxic obsessive girl in love with Ayano and wants to kill everyone who's with him, so his only her. We see she can control ice like she wants and uses it to keep the protagonist caught. She tries to force him to go with her, saying it's for his own good. But Moka and Kirumo are arriving to save him. Shira doesn't understand because she thought she killed Moka, but Kirumo explains she got right on time to save her. The three of them start a battle against Shirayuki that wants to kill the girls at all costs. But Ayano steps in the way and asks her to stop with this craziness and also rejects her. When she heard this she cries like a baby, saying he doesn't understand her, and leaves the place. Now she's alone. We see she saw how lonely he was and fall in love with him because they understood each other and thought he will love her too. And a teacher comes to talk to her, but she attacks him, leaving him with serious injuries on the nursery. Without having other school to go because she's been expulsed from all of them, they only gave her a suspension. Now everyone will be against her and she'll be lonely again without ever knowing what the meaning of friendship is. But the protagonist, feeling guilty for everything that happened, went to see her and discovers that the teacher who she heard actually attacked her, so she defends herself. But at this point she was very upset for everything, so she got quite crazy. Thank God the vampire Moka was there to calm her down and put her on her place. She made her understand she wasn't alone anymore, that now they were her friends. They proved Shirayuki was innocent, so her suspension was cancelled. At the next day there's a new teacher on their class and she gives math. Ayano is very bad at it, and since they'll have an important test that will define if they can have summer vacation, he asks Moka to teach him. She agrees and says he could go to his room so she can teach him better. But in the middle of the conversation, Kirumo and Hikaru showed, saying they heard everything, and jealous, they say they didn't agree with Moka helping him, that they all should help him. Also, Shirayuki appears and asks them for help, saying she have difficulties with some assignments. So the five decide to use the club room to study every day. They spent the whole day studying and helping each other to make it to the vacation test. But at the end of the day, when they were leaving, Moka and Ayano are stopped by the new teacher that complains for what they were doing, saying a professional should help Ayano. She grabs him and puts his head on her chest, saying she'll wait for him tomorrow to teach him math correctly. All this scene left Moka very uncomfortable, and she didn't trust her character. At the next day on the club, the girls talk about the new teacher, but the conversation don't take long. Finally, the afternoon arrives and Ayano goes to see the teacher for the lessons, thinking she will teach him math, but she surprised him almost naked and horny because of his human smell. We don't know what happened, but she did something on him that left him weird the next day. He even was rude with Moka. Without knowing what was happening, she goes to see the teacher and finds out her real form is a snake and that she was hurting him with her powers. That's why he was so weird. Seeing his love on danger, Moka goes to save him within Shirayuki that also went there. But they're both defeated by the teacher with no difficulties. When the teacher destroyed Moka's notes to help Ayano, he gets out of the magic the teacher put him on and takes the necklace off of Moka, making her become a vampire, and with her power she could defeat the teacher. The day of the test come and Ayano didn't know how it went because he forgot everything he learned with the teacher. But even so, he thanks Moka for her notes and help because she did it better than he thought. What makes Moka emotional and happy. After some days, the results came and everyone passed except for Kirumo, and after the test they all go to the summer vacation that's on the human world. According to school, thanks to the test and the journalism of our group, the one this vacation's on the human world. They spend the whole day at the beach having fun. These vacations were better than ever. They went to see a field of sunflowers when they run into the owner of the fields that wanted to kill humans because they wanted to destroy their field. Since the leader of this was also a witch and she recognized Yuruki, she convinced her to help her and she agreed. This put Ayano's life on danger, who went there to look for Yuruki that disappeared. When Yukari sees he's in danger and there's no one there to help him, she uses her power and easily saves him, showing that when it's needed she has great power. Things got calmed and everyone got there and saw what happened. They were preparing to go, but suddenly the witch heard Ayano saying she'll do anything to take who stepped on her way off. When the girls saw Ayano hurt, almost dying, they got crazy and turned into their other form and defeat the enemy easily. Later, the witch wakes up with Ayano and his friends that wanted to heard her story about her plan. She explains she used to live with her family on that field and her home was destroyed by humans because they wanted to build building. For this she hated humans so much, and even so the protagonist and his lover said it wasn't right to do that. She kept saying she hated them and that it was too late to go back because her master already prepared irreversible punishment for humans. They told her if she did that she'll be as terrible as the humans that destroyed her home. And here they decide to invite her to go to school with them to resolve all of this without blood involved. Hearing this and seeing these people seem to be happy, she decides to go. But at night she went to see her master that subdue her and scold her. When everyone saw she was gone on the middle of the night, they decide to go after her to find her. They found her, but she attacked them because it seems she was being controlled by her master. She attacks them with demoniac plants, and even if everyone was fighting against them, they can't protect the protagonist because there are a lot of enemies. But when Ayano takes the necklace of Mako off, the vampire Mako appears, leaving the witch perplexed with such powers, and is easily defeated by Moka. But even after being defeated, the witch doesn't give up and invokes a lot of demoniac plants, putting Ayano even in more danger. This makes the vampire mad and she goes with everything she had to attack the witch, but she managed to stop her. Not for so long though, because after a while the vampire frees herself and punches the witch, saving Ayano from any danger. Ayano sees a castle in the middle of the field where probably the master is, so he runs there to meet him, and when he does, she sees the master is actually dead and the only thing there is a dead live sitting on a chair. After this he goes to the witch that got very strong, even to the point he was fighting good against all the girls, and tells that master is actually dead a long time ago. He told her she knew that, but she couldn't accept it, so she created another personality above hers to protect herself for the pain. And after this, as you probably imagine, the witch got crazy and prepared to use a forbidden magic, becoming a demon to end with everyone. It was hard, but with a lot of fight they managed to defeat her, but sadly they couldn't save her alive. The power she used ended up killing her. Or that's what they thought, because at the next day the pervert president that went to take them to the school was carrying her on his lap. The second semester of our protagonist and his lovers begins with them preparing all of the trends and situations to publish it on the journal. And they even tell everything that happened to them on vacation. While they were distributing them, a girl that created a new club of journalism comes to them saying she's better than him, and even dares them to dispute content to see who is better. With the motivation of competition, the protagonist and his club this competition with this new journal to get back their reputation, because at this point the other journal was letting them behind. If they didn't gain their reputation back, according to the school's rules, their club will be extinguished. During the competition they lost quite a few times. They couldn't defeat them. They were almost quitting and accepting their defeat. But then they found out this new journal was being supported for the school's police. That is a group of militants called Public Safety Commission, a little bit more severe than a moral police, with the objective to control the bad activities of the school. They also found out this police was involved with corruption, and as a journal they have to bring this to light to the public, because these are things that has been going on for a while, but no one knows about it. Then, the president of their club ordered them to burn the journal about their vacation on the humans' world, because all of the obstacles they went through were making them famous on the school, disturbing the police plans that supported the new club to destroy the protagonists. And the president knows they can't play with these dangerous people, so they should forget about the competition. But the protagonist and his lovers had a moral very strong, and they were against the president's decision, so they began to make proofs about everything the police did to show the dark side of the school police. But the only thing they didn't count with this. One day at the class, the president of the school police went to take them all to a questioning because the protagonist was being understudy. They were suspicious he could be a human. All of them were questioned, and the police even pressured him, saying the life of his lovers will be on danger. He ends up admitting he's a human in front of his lovers. When they find out, they start rejecting the protagonist, fighting with Moka because she hid the truth all the time. The protagonist saw how everyone left him alone and how Moka was taken to a torture jail made exactly for her. The protagonist, on the other hand, will be executed by the school police. After the girls told the rest of the club the real identity of the protagonist, all of it destabilizes, and they deny the protagonist's existence for being a human. The police announced the execution will be public, and they forced everyone to go watch it. A lot of people that was friends with Ayano and liked him tried to stop the execution, even his lovers that before hated him. Like this, it starts a battle where the girls and some others try to save the protagonist, and they fight against the school police. But the president of the police had a firepower that he used to kill the protagonist, shooting at his chest. When this happened, everyone was scared seeing Ayano dead and burned. On his deathbed, she takes the necklace of Moka, making her a vampire. And this time, she was furious because she lost her lover. This gives us an epic fight between our vampire and a fox with 4 flaming tails, the demoniac form of the president of the police. In the middle of the fight, the pervert president comes to help, and Moka says she can give him her blood to bring him back to life, but she'll need time for it. What wouldn't let them help them on the battle. So the girls got together and promised to make time enough so she can do the blood's transfusion. The girls managed to make time with difficulties, but they did it. And when Moka finished her task, she went to defeat their enemy. Ayano woke up just in time to see Moka defeating him. After the fight, the rest of the students went to there and saw the police's president, and thought it was Ayano who defeated him. After all this mess, the protagonist goes to his people, and seeing everything they did to save him, things go back to normal.